Welcome back to the Best of Yvonne podcast. I'm your host, Yvonne Dellos, and I have a very special guest today, Julie Acarregui, one of my dear friends and med spa owners. She is the owner of Pure Medical Spa in Idaho. She owns actually 3 locations. But what I really want to talk about today with our guest, Julie, is leading with strength and not drama. And I just love and adore this woman. You guys, she served in the military, right, Julie?
Yes.
Like lots of leadership, not just in medical aesthetics, but throughout her life. And I do have to say, when I went into her clinic to do a training, I don't know that I've ever experienced culture like she has at her med spa. You guys, she truly is a gem. She's a powerhouse. She's full of knowledge. And I'm delighted for her to share her story with you all today. So let's dive in, Julie. Welcome.
Thank you, Yvonne. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be with you. Every time I get to be with you, I'm always just filled with such happiness. So thank you for having me.
Oh, it's truly a privilege to have you here, and our community is going to love you and your message. And can I ask you this, Julie, when you started Pure Med Spa, you came from anesthesia, so you probably didn't have a lot of business savviness. Am I right?
Correct.
Okay.
I never thought of myself as an entrepreneur, ever. I did anesthesia for 23 years, and I was getting a facial, and the person that was giving me a facial was a retired RN from the hospital I was working at, and she had just went into aesthetics, and she said, I'd really like to get into doing cosmetic injections, but I need a medical director. Would you be interested? And I said, I am used to dealing with needles and syringes all the time, but I don't have any knowledge of aesthetics. I don't have any knowledge of being a business owner. And I said, let me look into this. And I literally went to probably every training course across the nation before I ever touched a patient. But once I started going through the trainings, I developed this true passion for aesthetics. And I did both anesthesia and opened a med spa simultaneously for about 7 years. I've been now operating my businesses for about 17 years, but I had no knowledge of business whatsoever. And I can tell you, I could write a novel on what not to do. And slowly I'm filling a few chapters on what to do. It has just developed over time. In the last few years, I realized in order to be a true leader for this business, I had to get myself out of the treatment room. And that was really difficult. And I know you can empathize with me there. Yeah. It was so difficult for me to make the decision to not see my clients anymore. I thought, oh my gosh, are they all going to leave? What's going to happen if I'm not seeing them? And I really just had to change my mindset that if I am going to grow this business, I truly have to be the leader. I can't be in the treatment room every day. And I have to focus on growing my own leaders. And that's exactly what I've done. I have built an apprenticeship program where I train my providers. So my clients were seeing me with these providers that I was training, and they realize that they're getting the same or probably better care from them because they're actually practicing every day. Whereas right now, I only see clients 1 day a month in each location. I used to see clients 4 to 5 days a week. And that's been a hard transition, but a necessary transition.
Yes. And, I tell many of our students and, as I'm speaking from the stage, the same thing. You're going to go through so much growth as an individual, but your business is going to go through growth. I always say, it may start like as an infant, and then it's a toddler, and then it's an adolescent, and then it's a teenager. It will grow and evolve, but you will as well. So I really want to ask you this question. Going back to the military, I would say that probably gave you a really solid foundation with some of your own personal core values, how to be a leader, because I would imagine the military is probably pretty strict on your discipline, your mindset, doing hard things, embracing failure. I mean, what was that like going from the military into anesthesia? And like, what skills did you learn there that you actually see that you're using now as a leader running 3 med spas, many, many employees? Like, what are some of those takeaways there?
Yeah, I went into the military. It was my second year of college that I went on active duty. And so right out of the gate, because I had a couple years of college, I went in as the highest rank I could possibly go into basic training as. I remember I was an E3 and I went into basic training. At the time, I was just in the reserves while I was in college. And so right out of the gate, I had to be the leader. And those drill sergeants teach you how to be, a leader and to know that likability is a challenge. And, I've struggled with this all my life because I just want to be everybody's best friend. But I realized that sometimes the toughest decisions may be unpopular. And I had to find a balance between being assertive and being approachable. I kind of went through the next couple of years of college and stayed in the reserves. And then when I graduated with my undergraduate degree, I got a direct commission. So then I became an officer. And that was a whole different level of leadership. That I was truly leading many, many people and had to dig deep for the strength and the courage to be able to make the right decisions and to truly study leadership. And that easily led over into me opening a business. I didn't understand things like a profit and loss and a balance sheet when I opened up a business, but I did have some leadership background, thankfully, to my years in the military. I spent 4 years in the reserves and I spent 10 years on active duty. So I got my anesthesia education while I was on active duty, and they were incredible years of my life and certainly have developed, my leadership skills today. I owe so much to the military.
I think that's beautiful. And I can imagine with that strict discipline and, the foundation that they help, raise you up as a leader and to manage other people. I think as a business owner, that's been one of my biggest challenges because they say when a leader speaks, it's like almost like we're standing at, the microphone screaming out into our audience or our employees what we want. And so we got to be very mindful with how we carry ourselves, how we conduct ourselves, how we speak. I mean, I've failed in so many ways as a leader, and I know they always say that the employees you start with aren't always the ones that you'll build with and grow with.
Mm-hmm.
But let me ask you this: you mentioned the whole pleasing and wanting to be liked because I still struggle with that. I finally got to the point in my life, my late 40s, that I really like who I am and I know my intentions. But specifically when I'm doing business with men, not in my business, but contractors that I hire, I feel like I have to preface, like, I'm going to have a hard conversation with you. I'm not trying to be a bitch,
Mm-hmm.
but I need to have this direct conversation with you. Like, what tools would you say that you use where you can be firm, you can be direct, but you can get your point across without being the bitch, right? Like, I think
Mm-hmm.
so many women are trying to figure out how we do this in balance, how we do this in medicine, how we have boundaries, how we show ourselves love and respect, and how we show others love and respect, but yet get the point across that this needs to be done, this needs to be taken care of, it needs to be done this way. Like, how do you do that? Because to me, I feel like I've yet to master that.
It's something that I have struggled with, but I think that women were judged more harshly for assertive behavior, and we can be labeled as being bossy or aggressive. Whereas when men exhibit the same traits, they're seen as decisive or driven. And I've definitely experienced that. I think that my approach has been to focus on building genuine relationships and demonstrating competence about whatever I'm talking about. I always strive to be clear and direct in my communication and to be empathetic. I think being empathetic in every situation and collaborative will definitely serve us well. But just being knowledgeable, truly knowledgeable about what we're talking about and getting respect for that knowledge. I want to be judged on my performance and my capabilities and my knowledge and not whether I'm likable or not. And so I think that just having that, at the top of your mind.
I think that's so important. Um, because for me, like let's say I hire an accountant and I have an expectation that he's to do his job. He's the pro. I'm trusting him to know what is best for me, right? And so it's like I try to find that, where's the fine line of me knowing enough of what he's doing and yet trusting that he's going to have my best interest. I think that's where it tends to backfire and bite me, is that I probably don't do enough homework and research to equip myself with enough knowledge to kind of stand my ground and be clear on my expectations. I know Brene Brown says clear is kind.
Yes.
So do you feel like being clear with your employees, your team, is your way of being kind, where you can communicate clearly to maintain the culture, to maintain the leadership, but yet get your point across without being too aggressive?
Yeah, I think that, when you use the example of the accountant, and yeah, we don't know as much as the accountant, but I think that if we approach everything with our employees or with professionals outside our industry that we're looking for their help, if we can approach it in a collaborative manner and truly make them feel a partnership, and that we need to be heard, but we also want to hear what they're saying, so that we can learn, so that we can grow together. I think that collaboration and partnerships in all circumstances are paramount.
Yeah, they say 2025 is the year of collaboration, and I'm starting to see it in my own business, and even just like the podcast of just how many, our last guest, even just collaborating with her husband, she made him the CFO of her business. Where do you feel that collaboration has helped you build what you have today? Because I know you bought your third location from somebody who actually reached out to you, correct?
Right, right. So, ironically, the very first person who ever trained me, so back when I was getting that facial and decided, let me look into this, my very first class I went to was with Lynette Smith, and she was an Allergan trainer. And she had a very successful business in Coeur d'Alene. And Lynette and I stayed in touch over the years. And many years later, I went back and trained her on Sculptra. And she reached out to me. I was in the Coeur d'Alene area doing a training, and she reached out to me and she said, I am ready to retire, but I want to be very picky about who I sell my business to. I need somebody to take care of my clients and has the knowledge that I have to be able to take over this business. Would you be interested? And at the time I was like, not only no, but hell no. I have 2 locations in southern Idaho, because this is, at least a 10-hour drive. It's not like I can just drive there. I have to fly to go there. But Lynette and I had this long-standing relationship, and she just kind of stayed on me. And she said, I just want you to come meet the team. And so I flew up there, met the team, and that was it. It was like, yeah, I can do this. I can spend 1 week a month. I can fly to Spokane, drive to Coeur d'Alene, and take this over. But had it not been for that relationship that I had with her, that would have never been an opportunity for me. And so March 1st, I'm celebrating the 4th year that I have owned that location. I had to change my priorities. That's truly when I really got out of the treatment room, was when I got that 3rd location. 2 was hard, but 3 is almost impossible to be in the treatment room every day.
I can only imagine. Yeah.
I mean, I've learned so much from the people I have collaborated with. You don't know what you don't know until you're faced with something. And to try to do all of the ancillary things that we need to do as business owners, we can't do it ourselves. And we have to collaborate. And, there are multiple consultants I have collaborated with over the years that have helped me develop my secret sauce. I've taken bits and pieces from multiple people. I work very closely with Terry Ross. She has helped me truly grow my business. I've worked with SkyTel. I have worked with various aesthetic consultants throughout the years, but then also CFOs. I knew that was not my area of expertise, and I needed to hire somebody to help me as a remote CFO. I needed to find the right partner for a practice management software that was going to work for me and my business model. And let me tell you, I went through a few different practice management softwares that were, lots and lots of of lost hours of sleep and headaches trying to clean up the books. And then I feel like that I have found the right one. But we can't do it all ourselves. We have to collaborate with industry experts in order to grow our business.
Yeah. And I think it's just, I want everyone listening. It's like, even if you're not in medical aesthetics, if you're starting your own business, I don't care if it's selling Tupperware or selling hair barrettes, like you're going to go through things in your business where it's going to shift you and change you, where you just need to open up your perspective and then you need to humble yourself and be like, I don't understand this. I need to find somebody who can help me. And this is where I stress like having a mentor, having a coach, having a colleague, someone you feel like you can go to, you feel safe with, and they're going to help you get to that next level. Where I don't know if there's anything in life that has grown me so much than having a business and trying to understand employees. Our employees come with their own past experiences, their own perspectives, their own beliefs, their own struggles and challenges. And so, getting back to like you building a no drama culture and knowing that all of these employees come with their different personalities and different perspectives. And now you have 3 locations. So not only do you have like a culture within its own location, but then trying to mix 3 separate locations, 10 hours apart, and still have that same culture. I mean, what is that like? Do you do like team building activities and bring everybody together?
Yes. So once a year, so actually once a month, we have an all team meeting. So everybody is on Zoom. I'm typically at one of the 3 offices, but once a month, we have an all team meeting. And it's time to celebrate. It's time to look for areas of opportunity of growth. And it's time to be able to give messages to the entire team all at once. But they get to see each other. They're not together every day, but we truly are one team. We communicate via Slack every single day as a team, multiple different channels, but there are some channels that all see. We have a provider channel, so the providers are asking each other questions, and we feel like we have this big family that if you don't have the answer in your location, somebody in one of the other 2 locations may have it. As far as like, we do a team retreat once a year where we get to just have fun together. We do some training. We always bring a special trainer in. We've done some leadership training. We've done some personality test type training and how we can interact better with each other. And then we bring in coaches to help us be able to, how do we overcome challenges? How do we overcome objections on the phone at the front desk? How do we provide better consultations? And so we make that part of a team training that typically is 3 to 4 days long. But I don't think any one of my employees would say they feel like they're isolated in their own location. We are one organization. We all click to the same beat, click to the same drum. And the lines of communication, I think, are so important. But I think that also the leadership in those 3 locations are paramount. You have to have great leaders to hold it together, because I certainly cannot be at 3 locations at one time. And I rely on my leaders to be able to lead and make sure that drama is checked at the door when somebody walks in. We are there for the clients. We're there for our colleagues. And it's absolutely no drama zone.
I love that.
But the leaders in the organizations are the ones who drive that and who monitor that and who are there to do what I would do if I was standing in that location.
I think that's wonderful. And that's truly what I experienced when I went to your training center or your med spa. I was so impressed. And everyone just got along so great. They had their fun banter. I mean, it was a family, like you said. I loved it. And I felt that. And trust me, I've been in many, many med spas across the country for trainings. And I don't know that I've ever been in one where I actually felt like at home. They just welcomed me. There was no judgment. Everybody was so kind, so considerate, so willing to help. And I was just so impressed. But I know that starts from you. Like that comes from you being the leader. So I have no drama policy at my clinic as well, and in my booth rental business. And I've unfortunately had to make an example out of a few that brought drama. I just do not tolerate it. Like, I don't even give a warning. We're all adults. If I find it, if I see it, if I hear it, I just ask you to leave. And our situation, we heard it on the overhead cameras. So it was recorded, it was there. And I just had to ask these individuals to leave. So I want to know, and I don't know if there's a right way. I try to be as professional as I can about it. How do you handle drama? Because we know one bad apple
Yep.
will completely change your whole entire environment. I think there was a saying that if you allow behavior from one individual to make the environment toxic, like you are giving them all permission to behave and act that same way. And it only takes one to bring down the rest. So what is what's the best way of doing this, Julie? Like how help us all out with 3 locations, many employees. Like how do you handle that?
Well, we certainly have a saying, and the whole team knows it: bad apples out. So you mentioned the apples. Yes, it's like a cancer. It will spread through your organization faster than anything else. If you allow for drama, if you allow for bad behavior, everybody is treated exactly the same. And I think as leaders, we make more of an example by letting somebody go for that type of behavior than anything else we can do. So years ago, I had a top provider in the entire organization. And she did not display good integrity. And that is absolutely something I will not tolerate. And it was absolutely on the spot. She was gone. And it surprised everybody in the organization that we would let the top provider go. And I truly value integrity and doing the right thing when nobody's looking. And she didn't value the same thing. And I think by us letting her go immediately spoke volumes to the rest of the team that these things won't be tolerated. We live by our values. And if you choose not to live by our values, if you choose to, one of our values is positivity. And so we've developed multiple standards around positivity. We reward people when they're being positive. And if somebody is not positive, there are certain, you need to hire by your values and you need to fire by your values.
You know what, Julie, you are exactly right. I always say when you bring somebody in, whether that's a vendor, an employee, a partner, a collaboration, and your core values do not align, you will have so much friction and it doesn't go away. It doesn't ease up. It doesn't get better until you cut it off. So knowing your core values, I think it starts with really knowing yourself. And when you have those core values, they're so deeply ingrained in you, it's easy to live them out because it's like, this is just who I am. So to me, because I am all about community and empowerment, like as much as I wanted to be liked, right? And I didn't want to cause riff or drama or contention or whatever. I'm like, I can't sit here and allow this person to bully this other person.
Mm-hmm.
I just have to let them go. I have to have them leave because otherwise it would eat me up inside. And I think that's where being true to yourself and honoring your core values, and honoring yourself, it's like, I'm just going to do it. I have to do it. I have to just get it done and over with. Mm-hmm. But again, like having that crucial, hard conversation can get so uncomfortable. And I've had to learn that over the years of being a leader and then teaching other people how to do the same. And I've learned the sooner you do it, the better it is. Because the longer you wait to have that crucial conversation or to have that discipline or to have them leave, the more poison, right? The more it festers and the more it grows and the more, energy it gains. It's like momentum. It just gets bigger and bigger until it's almost out of control.
Right.
So
we recently, as a leadership team, our management team, speaking about collaborating, I have the best leadership coach in the world, Chad Truby. He owns Peak Gravity Leadership. And my management team went through a 5-week leadership training with him, to be aware of their own biases and learn how to create a work environment where everybody feels valued and respected. And it was with him that we really, truly analyzed our values and created those service commitments and service standards for the team. And he taught us something that is I think it's so valuable to us in needing, you mentioned we've got to take care of it right as soon as it happens. And he taught us how to lead and coach by talking about the situation that happened, the behaviors, and the impact that it had on the other team members. And it's all facts. And you can coach somebody through that if you feel like, okay, this just is coachable rather than me firing them today. But it's truly how my leaders lead now. If they see something on the spot, they go and create what we call an SBI. What was the situation? What was their behavior? And what impact did it have on the team or a client? And it's all factual. And that's how we use to be able to progressively coach people before we have to have them leave. There are certain circumstances where you just have to have them leave.
That's powerful. I love that. I'll have to get his contact from you because I'm always trying to improve my own leadership skills and improve my team. And, I love having a coach. I swear by having a coach because that's where I've grown the most is having coaches. So I'll have to learn more about him. So just a few more things I want to go over. We talked about kind of that likability. We talked about drama in the workplace. Let's talk about future of women in leadership. Like, where do you see yourself going in business and in our specialty? And where do you see yourself and your impact with other women?
I envision a future where women in leadership are no longer the exception; they're the norm. A future where women are valued and celebrated for their leadership. That's defined by collaboration and inclusivity and empathy and being able to be somebody that people want to follow. And I think that's a question that I've asked myself as I've worked with my leadership coach. I just want to be somebody that people want to follow. How do I do that? And I hope now that I'm learning those things that I can help impact my team. And we always promote from within. I want everybody to feel like there's always something more to strive towards. I think that empowering women into leadership roles is amazing. I think we are seeing a lot more women in leadership roles and having that diverse voice at the table in C-suites. I hope that I can be impactful in that way to be able to take the things that I've chose to learn in the last couple of years and every woman that I touch along the way to give them the hope that, yeah, you can be the leader. Whatever you choose to do, whether it's aesthetics or anything that you choose to do, to have your voice be heard and to be able to show your knowledge and your impact to whatever industry that you're in. Every small step is a victory. And I think that working together, people like yourself and myself that are trying to help train and teach people, I think there is room to help teach women how to be better leaders and to give them the courage to be a better leader.
Well, and I think you do a beautiful job at it because it was truly an unforgettable experience for me going to your clinic, training your office that day. And I just really, really impressed. And I'm so grateful to have you here today. And I want to share with our listeners that Julie will be speaking at her Success Summit in November, right, Julie?
Yes.
I believe we got that lined up for you.
Yes.
So here in Southern Utah, it's November 13th through the 16th. And Julie will be one of our guest speakers. It is a conference for all women where we empower, inspire, and educate. We heal the past and we look and build a better, brighter future for ourselves and for other women. So this was such a treat, such a delight having you here today, Julie. And for all the women listening, like if we can all be more like Julie and raise our voice and be a leader, support other women in our specialty and support other women in our clinics and the women in our chairs. Because again, like I say, we can be pixie dust or we can be poison. Our essence matters, our energy, how we show up. It all comes from our core values, our intentions. And I'm just so grateful to have you, Julie. I'm grateful for your leadership, for your contribution to our specialty, and for your service. So thank you so much for joining us. Please let our listeners know, where can we find you? Where can we follow you and learn more about you?
Well, thank you, first of all, Yvonne. You are such a powerhouse in this industry, and you truly empower so many women. And I'm super excited to be part of your Her conference. I think it's going to be amazing, amazing. And yes, looking forward to it. I can be reached. I'm on Instagram at Beauty by Julie A. There's a period between every word. My email address, I check all emails every single night. They don't ever go unchecked. Is Julie at puremedicalspaidaho.com.
I love that. And we'll be sure to have that in the notes. And listeners, reach out. It's when you find a woman that you admire and you aspire to be like, reach out to her, because she wants to reach back and pull you up and help you by teaching you what she's accomplished, what she's done, how she got where she got. So again, thank you, Julie. I'm so excited to see you in November. I'm sure I will see you before then at some other conference.
Yes.
But continue to do all the beautiful things you do. Tell your amazing team I said hi, send them my love.
They love
And-
you so much.
Oh, thank you. And I will see you real soon. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you so much, Yvonne.